Good afternoon, my turtle ducks. Thank you for joining me today. Last time we talked about what dishes you might need. Today, let's talk a little about washing those dishes. Now that we have dishes, it's important to know how to clean them. We'll start with hand washing. Ideally, you would have 3 basins at your disposal, but you can make do well enough with 2. If you only have a single basin, I strongly suggest getting a large pot or shallow tub to use as a second. Let's go over an ideal situation. You have a 3-section sink, or less ideal, a 2-section sink and a supplementary tub. What goes in each section? The first should be very hot, soapy water. Try to make the water as hot as you can handle without hurting yourself. The second section should be clean, hot water, preferably the same temperature as the first. The third section should be a sanitizing solution. I prefer to use bleach, but you could use another sanitizer if you have a preference. This water should also be hot, though it doesn't have to be as hot as the first 2. If you only have 2 basins, leave the first empty and have a small dish of soapy water you can use to wash the dishes. The second basin should be the sanitizing solution. First, make sure to scrape all large food pieces and clumps of sauce into your compost or trash. Then wash the dishes first in soapy water. Once there is no visible or tactile food particles left, rinse in clean water and then leave in the sanitizing solution for a few minutes until you are ready to set them on a drying rack. If you only have 2 basins, use your dish of soapy water to thoroughly wash each dish, rinse under hot water, and then sanitize for a few moments, just like the first example. Now there are plenty of dish-specific soaps available, but many all-purpose soaps will also work. Castile soaps in particular are good all-purpose soaps that work just as well as hand soaps as they do for cleaning. Just remember, you may need to dilute if you're using a concentrate. You will also need something to scrub with. My personal preference is for reusable things, bamboo, loofah, and washcloths, or steel wool for particularly stubborn messes. But you can use readily available scrub brushes or nylon scrapers. What I do not suggest using is a sponge. They are excellent at holding bacteria and mold and really ought to be single use. For drying dishes, try to let them air dry as towels can introduce fuzz, dust, or animal hair and dander to wet dishes. Towels will work in a pinch if you need the dish dry right then, but try to use your cleanest kitchen towel for this task. Once the dishes are clean, let's make sure the sinks are too. Simply drain the water away. Make sure you have drain catchers in place to catch any food particles or labels that might have come off in the wash. Once the water is drained, go ahead and dump the contents of the drain catcher in the trash. Now using hot water, rinse the basin. If there's anything stuck to it, use soap and your scrubber of choice to clean the sides. Once the sink is clean again, empty your drain catch if necessary. Some of you may have dishwashers and be keen to use them, and understandably so. There are a number of studies showing that dishwashers get dishes more sanitary than hand washing. However, check your dishes to make sure they are safe to go in the dishwasher before using it. As a rule of thumb, painted china, non-stick pans, and many plastics, especially lids, do not do well with the heat and pressure. So rather than risk damage, wash those by hand. Next, make sure you don't overload your dishwasher. If you have dishes stacked all over one another or turned such that the jets can't get to them easily, they won't get cleaned no matter how many times they go through the wash. Try to stack things evenly with enough space for water to easily get between each column and row. Dishwasher soap is different from regular soap. It doesn't lather to the same degree, which is important as the high pressure can cause it to back up and leak or leave soapy residue on your dishes, so make sure you're using dishwasher soap. Additionally, your dishwasher likely has a dispenser that looks like this. You want to put soap in both parts of the dispenser. One side is the pre-wash and the other is the primary cycle. If you don't use soap in both portions, your dishes won't get as clean. Just like your clothes washing machine, Your dishwashing machine will need to be cleaned periodically. I'll include an article detailing cleaning your dishwasher. Finally, if you don't have the energy to fully wash your dishes at the end of every day, try to get into the habit of at least rinsing them so washing will be easier later. That's it for today. Next time we'll turn to our refrigerators. Why don't you take a little break? If you have any further questions, feel free to leave them below or send me a telegram. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, be kind, my turtle ducks, to each other and to yourselves.